this. Sorry about the delay and the difficulties here. So TLT, we're looking for a potential move up, but we want to make sure that that thing actually works out. I'm not really in any too hurry to get into something like TLT, mostly just because it's the bonds. It's very slow, not really something that excites me. Let's see, we talked about UVXY and the markets, and let's go over to GLD, because that should be good and promising. So GLD, ever since it broke out, has been doing quite well. So let's look at that a little bit closer and in depth. And what we can see here is that right through here, you can see I have a green line, which is kind of showing where the top of the channel or top of the flagging area was for GLD. And then you can see it did a little bounce off of the daily 50, another little bounce off the daily 50. The Moxie indicator was above 0 the entire time. And then what you can see here is that did a nice little bounce right there, and now you can see that's where actually I got in, and I got in with a few other people as well. And then you can see the Moxie price trigger. So right on cue, the Moxie was working out very, very well. Price bounced off the hourly 50, bounced off the 15-minute time frames as well. It's been doing a couple pullbacks to the 50, a little trampoline move right there, and so far so good. So GLD, the metals are doing quite well. And then what we can do, let's look at GDX, because that will also go to the into the kind of gold space. You know, they're gold miners. The one thing I have talked about with this one is that, you know, they're gold, but they're also miners, and so they're related to the metal, but they're also kind of related to the overall stock market because they're companies as well. And so we look at something like this and say we might want to get back down to the hourly 50, and it might be a little bit, it might actually be related to the market itself. So if the market itself wants to go down and do a little pullback, GDX may have to deal with that. But overall, I'm seeing that GDX is looking really quite good. It's nothing wrong here. You got the 8 over the 21, and you have price over the 8, and everything's still in range. And on the hourly chart, other than the other day when price went right to the third ATR on the hourly chart, it kept trucking along. You see that price was here bouncing off the 21 and the 21. Everything's looking pretty good on here. Moxie indicator is nice and high, and in fact we have a squeeze starting to form on the hourly chart. So I wouldn't be surprised to see another good move of this one. I'd love to see it well. Basically what I've been looking at for this one was price to come into the 21, which it's been doing on the daily chart. We even got a squeeze going on, so something big should be happening soon. And then you can see the Moxie indicator has been trending up to the upside, and then also price here bouncing off of the hourly 200, and then once it finally got into gear, it starts to bounce off the hourly 50. So all of this is looking pretty good, and now we've got a little bit more of a move here. So very happy with what's happening here. Don't see any problems so far. It's going to be choppy just because that's naturally what this thing is. It's just naturally a pretty choppy indicator or chart, and but overall I think this thing's going to be setting off on the next new trend. Alright, and then another thing that we can get into is USO. Now this isn't something I look into too much. It's not really one of my stocks that I like to trade or something that I look aware of, because I am seeing some interesting things. Now on the not too much to see here, except when I've been looking at this for a lot of other stocks, when they've during this whole coronavirus thing too, is that when they get down like this and they get just so pummeled, you know, put down real low, real low, real low, they've tended to percolate. You know, they won't maybe they won't go down any further like that, but what they're doing is they're just going sideways, looking for support on some lower time frames, and then going to be start popping up. And so what we're looking here is price to kind of go sideways, 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 and then look for a move up. But that move will be the first move out of what I look for is a double bottom. So this is going to be the first low that price is actually starting to work on and fix. And what we want to see is price stay here and then move up. Now, once it does, you got to get out of it because it's most likely going to come down fairly hard and then go. And I can show you this actually with some of the airlines. If you look at, say, AAL, you can see this was a really good explanation or example of this. You can see that price went down like this, and then it just kind of hovered here for a while, and then it exploded, but then it faded back down to support. So that's what I'm talking about. I think with USO, we're essentially in this portion, we're looking for a move up like this, and then once that move up happens, you need to be able to have it come on down here to support, and then you can try it the second time. And if we go back to USO on these lower time frames, and then we'll get this here on the daily and hourly. We're never quite sure how these are going to be panning out because I've seen them happen in multiple different configurations. But generally, we have the 8 over the 21, which is pretty good, and we have price bumping along the hourly 200, which is also pretty good. Now, what I could see is price actually going sideways like this long enough that maybe it'll run into the daily 50 and then start to pop up and explode like that. We do have a squeeze, so things up to the upside, or at least what I would imagine to be at the upside. And let's see if it's if I use AAL again as an example. Let's see, PLAY, because I'm trying to find this one example of where we've seen, and not quite like that one. They're all a little bit different. Let's see, win, if that one, this is, yeah, here you go. This is a little bit closer of what I was looking for. So notice with win, and if I get rid of this, you'll notice with win and how it looks very, very similar to where USO is currently. You can see, bumping into the hourly 200, 200, something like that. So it's staying above the hourly 200. And then on the daily chart, you can